I think ETH is probably going to shock people going forwards. It's going to really explode.
Breaking news. Donald Trump now owns over $500 million worth of Ethereum. What is he preparing for that most people are missing? Let's talk about it in this video. Smash the like button because it's time to load up on quality crypto coins. On Altcoin Daily, we see what's coming. Make sure you subscribe to Altcoin Daily to always stay in the know. I've been full-time crypto for 7+ years now. Most people don't know what they're talking about. I do. And so believe me when I tell you, you need to start paying attention to Ethereum and quality altcoins. Which 3 quality altcoins do you like? Comment below. I'm going to tell you 3 of my top picks in this video and actually share with you what the experts are looking at. Because it is my opinion that things are changing and the crypto market as we know it, as it's behaved over the last 2-3 years, the next 12 to 18 months will be vastly different. Don't be naive. We all know what happens during the year where Bitcoin makes new all-time highs and enters price discovery. And we're talking about altcoins today, but it's important to say I'm still bullish on Bitcoin. It is digital gold. I think Bitcoin goes to at least $150,000 this year. And that's pretty bearish to say, right? I mean, I think it's a common thought nowadays that Bitcoin clears $200,000 before the year is over. Matt Hogan, Bitwise CIO, proudly shares this price prediction wherever he can share it nowadays. He thinks Bitcoin's going to hit at least $200,000 this cycle and just generally believes Bitcoin is up only for the next 5 years.
$30+ trillion that is just getting exposure now. I think it's straight up for, next 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I was on a panel yesterday with Dan Moorhead from Pantera, and he said we haven't even seen basically like half of Bitcoin's upside yet. He said there's a lot of room to grow, so you would agree with that?
Hugely, right? 95% of all Bitcoin is already owned, and 95% of investable money doesn't own any Bitcoin. And I think the collision of those two facts leads to much higher prices. I think we're in a multi-year bull market as this institutional wave of capital comes in.
Like I said, now is the time to get bullish. Extremely famous investor Lawrence Lepard, who correctly predicted that Bitcoin ended 2024 at $100,000, he says he thinks Bitcoin hits 200K to 300K before this cycle is over. And the reason is very simple. This asset is so scarce and demand just continues to be turned on this year.
I want to screw this call up. I mean, your progeny are going to hate you if you knew about this and you didn't buy it. I mean, they're just going to absolutely hate you, and they're going to think you're a legend if you, sacrificed and didn't buy that expensive car and bought a whole coin instead, because that whole coin is going to be worth $10 million. Not that far out, by the way. I don't think anybody's missed the boat. I mean, I think we're still very much in the early days, and it's going to 10x, and that's going to 10x again. So from an investing point of view, you don't want to miss something that's going to go up 100x and maybe 1,000x if you talk 15, 20 years out. And point one is going to be a meaningful amount to have. I mean, it's being a whole coiner is going to be an enormous deal in a few years. And so I don't think you missed the boat. It can come out of the blue. I mean, we all know how this thing happens. I mean, the thing that's so wild about this asset is the way that it can really move and move fast. And that's why I say, like the hedge funds that are short this stuff, they're about to have a deeply religious experience. I mean, they don't understand. They don't understand that this can go up, 50, 100, 150% in months. You're going to see those shorts are going to get covered so goddamn fast. I'm hard pressed to see how we're not at 100K by the end of calendar 2024. And I think this cycle takes us to 200 or 300K.
Obviously, the market is more than just Bitcoin now. It's not just one asset. This is an asset class. This is a global asset class. Unlike the dot-com boom in the 90s, which was primarily confined to US accredited investors, crypto is global. Anybody can buy. There are so many quality altcoins nowadays, and there are people all over the world buying coins. So, understanding that the Bitcoin crypto cycle is changing, now that we're over all-time highs, now that we're in price discovery mode, things might heat up really quick. And, just even from a psychological standpoint, thinking about this cycle, where we are in the cycle, altcoins are going to start really outperforming. Because think about it, crypto OGs like you and me are going to start feeling the wealth effect. Bitcoin's gone up a lot. Let's say Bitcoin's at 170K. We think to ourselves, well, I'm not going to get the same returns in Bitcoin, and I already have got so many big returns with Bitcoin. I'll put some of my gains into lower cap quality altcoins to maximize returns. At the same time, retail enters the market saying, damn, Bitcoin's already at 170K. What lower cap altcoins can I buy? So the point of today's video is to get you oriented to the altcoin market. Create an account on BitUnex if you want a great exchange to buy, sell, and trade different crypto coins. You can get $8,000 in trading bonuses. And according to billionaire investor Raoul Pal, you need to be looking at 3 altcoins specifically, including the big one, Ethereum. Now, we all know that Raoul Pal this cycle really likes SWI. But in this clip, he doesn't even pick SWI. I mean, he still likes it. He's still bullish on it. But he says, based on the chart, Ethereum is ready to explode. Ethereum will shock people. These are his words. We need to be looking at Ethereum. And then he also names 2 other coins that kind of have the same chart. He names 3 altcoins. Listen to this.
The long-term chart of ETH is a thing of beauty. I've never kind of lost the faith in ETH. I think the entire financial system builds on ETH. I think there's no other chain that they will build on top of to the depth that they will here. But this chart, basically, this is a flag pattern. When this goes, ETH has its next move up, wherever it goes to. That's a shocking chart if this plays out. It will change everybody's narrative again about ETH. I still think ETH from here, could it outperform Solana? It's possible. It's possible.
Let's pause. He's just about to list off the 2 altcoins. But really, this clip is about Ethereum. This clip is really saying, guys, it's time to get really bullish on Ethereum. And so this next part is a big part of his reasoning. Just like during the dot-com boom, no wealth advisor got in trouble for recommending Microsoft. Ethereum is like the Microsoft. It's the safe play in altcoin land. And for reasons like that and many more, he thinks Ethereum is about to send, especially if it gets past this one range. If Ethereum clears this range and breaks up, Ethereum's price will explode. And we all know what comes next.
Just because what I think is coming is as the financial system comes, you don't get fired for building on ETH. My idea is ETH is Microsoft. I've never been to a bank, an insurance company, a large corporate that has Apple Macs. It's all on Microsoft. Why? Because it's an operating system that everybody can use, and you can hire people, fire people, bring in new people, and they don't have to learn something new. But if you were to build the entire financial system on SUI, everyone has to learn a move language. There's less number of developers. It's not had the Lindy effects that ETH has. Now, also the banks love a layer 2 because they feel like they've got control over certain things, but it still has the finality of settlement to the layer 1. So I think ETH is probably going to shock people going forwards. But, XRP looks like it will too, and so does Doge. So it's kind of like everything's correlated.
Yeah.
But if we can break that high, if we can break that, let's say 4,300 high, it's going to really explode.
Like I said, this is a global asset class. And what's not priced into any of this is the sovereign adoption across the world. VanEck's thesis here is that the global selling points of crypto assets will play out in a big way this cycle. Most Americans don't realize this is happening.
Anything in particular standing out to you just at a high level as a potential positive price catalyst for Bitcoin, Ether, or crypto overall?
Yeah, the sovereign adoption, I think, is still underplayed in the West. Americans don't really have use for Bitcoin. Our money tends to outperform. We trust our institutions. Inflation is low. But for the billion people living in countries with 10% plus inflation, they think differently. And in the last couple months, the news flow around sovereign adoption of Bitcoin has also picked up. Russia and China now settling a portion of their energy trade in Bitcoin. They're not the only ones. 8 countries now mining Bitcoin with using government resources. This morning, there was news that Ukraine is close to finalizing a Bitcoin strategic reserve bill, which is an interesting one. Ukraine was ranked #1 on the crypto adoption index in the year 2020. And after the war, they can no longer be neutral, obviously. So crypto adoption fell, capital controls, as they hopefully peace develops in Ukraine and they become a neutral country. There's no currency more neutral than Bitcoin. And I think that's driving this news flow. And you're going to see more of that over the next number of years.
And of course, Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong recognizes this too. Crypto is just like the internet, only better.
Well, we see crypto as a technology to update the financial system, and that means everybody is going to have to add crypto technology. It's kind of like when the internet first came around, and first you had .com companies, but eventually every company was using the internet. So we're really supportive, and we see that every bank, every fintech, every traditional brokerage, they're going to start adding crypto products, integrating stablecoin payment rails. And Coinbase, we're the leader in this space. We can also help power that for a lot of these people when they come in. And so we're very supportive. We want to sell them our products and services. We want everyone to come into crypto.
And we all know what Brian Armstrong's price prediction is.
I think over time we'll see Bitcoin get into the millions, multiple millions of price range. I mean, it's being adopted by more and more institutional customers. The ETFs brought in a huge amount of inflow. If we get clear legislation passed in the US, that would be a big milestone. A strategic Bitcoin reserve. If the US took that path, probably the rest of the G20 would follow. In fact, I've discussed with a number of finance ministers here in Switzerland from different countries around the world, just the idea of a strategic Bitcoin reserve. They're getting more interested in it now because the US is looking into it. So I think Bitcoin has a long way to go. It's going to be the new gold standard out there. And crypto is really much bigger than that, too. It's about payments. It's about economic freedom and many things else.
Hey, make sure you subscribe to our channel. We keep you updated on a daily basis, even during the weekends. We give you an edge in crypto like no other channel does. Subscribe to our channel. Watch every day. My name is Aaron. See you tomorrow, my friends.